Hey guys, so this topic is old news, or at least kind of. It involves the Mike Brown shooting as well as the riots in St. Louis. Let's talk about this, shall we? As I mentioned in my Justice for Aaron video, there's usually a plaintiff side, defendant side, and then the fine line truth. So let's get to it. When the news first started making its rounds, everyone assumed that Mike Brown was an innocent young African American on his way to his grandmother's house, while at the same time, Officer Wilson was responding to a 911 call about a strong-armed robbery suspect, and Mike Brown fit the description. Now, first of all, don't get racist about this one, alright? That's your first mistake. That whole all black people look the same to white people thing is bullshit. I know several black people, and I never get confused to who they are. And when I meet black strangers, I remember what he looked like as opposed to the next one I meet. This kid had a thick build, a certain height, a hairstyle, and matching clothes of the description. So get that one out of your head if that's what you're thinking. Brown clearly matched the description of what Wilson was looking for. Secondly, there have been countless photos of Brown popping up all over, left and right, of him holding a large sum of folded money, along with guns and other paraphernalia, which tells us he could have possibly been gang involved, not to mention photos of flipping gang signs and whatnot. And don't get me wrong on that either. I believe in the Second Amendment. You're damn right I do. I think every American should be able to own a gun, even a felon who hasn't committed a violent crime. It's a lot easier to get a felony than you think. You can get a felony just by not stopping for a school bus on accident. Say you were looking down at your coffee or something and the school bus stopped in front of you and you passed it, bam, you got a felony. Regardless of the nature of the crime, felonies strip you of your right to bear arms, period, which is bullshit. By the way, that's another topic for another video that I'm going to be doing later. I'm assuming Mike did not have a permit to carry a firearm, judging by his age and character shown in his pics, or that would have been discussed publicly also. If he had a right to bear arms, that definitely would have been discussed and people would have been raising hell about people talking shit about him having a gun. How does this all tie in together? Well, I'll tell you. On Brown's side, his friend who was with him claims the officer pulled up and told him, and I quote, "Get the fuck out of the street." The kid claims that they explained to the officer, or in his words, he says, "Officer, we are just going right over there. We're almost there." After a quick discussion, the officer swung open his door, hitting both of them with it, tried to pull Brown into the car, then shots were fired. One bullet allegedly striking Brown in the back. Brown raised his hands and said, "I'm unarmed," at which a few seconds later the officer fired his gun off several more times into Brown's head and upper body area. Now, let's talk about this kid's character for a minute. No offense, please hear me out all the way before you think I'm judgmental, okay? Just hear me out. This kid has more tattoos on his neck than any part of his body. And not that tattoos mean bad character. They don't. I know a lot of great people with tattoos. I'm not saying that. But when you put them on your body, or where you put them on your body, says a lot on what you plan on doing with your future. Unless you want to work a job that allows those kind of markings, or you can get a job that allows those kind of markings, it says that you don't ever plan to work and be contributing to society in a traditional fashion that is working with the public. And basically that you don't give a shit what others think about you. Tattoos say a lot. Secondly, he is in this photo with Brown and his firearm, flashing a middle finger and gang signs. Third, a kid of that mentality and attitude I highly doubt he addressed the officer with such respect. Now, onto the officer's side. Wilson claims he was responding to a call about a strong-armed robbery suspect in the area, at which point in time he soon came across Brown and his friend. He claims to have been going through the normal motions of an arrest when he opened his car door to get out, and Brown shut it on him, attacked him, and reached for his gun. Here's the thing. If his story is to be believed, then that could absolutely mean that he fired out of fear for his life. I mean, we're told Brown had his hands in the air before the shots were fired, but for how long? The officer could have been dazed from the attack and still be foggy in his head and fired thinking the heat was still on. Did he stare Brown in the face knowing the fight was over and shoot him several times anyway? Or was the fight still going on and Brown was shot in a commotion? Here's what makes it so hard. When on the spot, like the officer, or possibly wanting revenge, like Brown, or Brown's friend, they will lie. Lie like dogs, they will. That's what makes something like this so hard to get to the bottom of. Even a lie detector test, they are not 100% accurate, so they can't be used in a court of law. A lot of people don't know this, but even fingerprints aren't 100% accurate. they can be beaten in a court of law. If you've ever been to jail, you will know that every time you put your fingerprint on the scanner, your fingerprints don't always match up 100%. They usually range from 70 to 90%. So that means there are definitely people who have fingerprints that are similar to yours, even if they are not exact. I feel for everyone in scenarios like this. Even the cop. On his side, you have his family, friends, and all who are at risk of losing him and his job and his freedom, as well as the guilt of what happened if indeed it was legit and he did not want to kill this 18-year-old boy. Or 18-year-old man. I'm sorry. He is a man, 18. On Brown's side, you have his family who has been hurt by Brown's early death, and most of all, Brown himself. Just the fact that he's gone, they're going to be missing him. So I hate that things like this happen, but they do. Until mankind rids ourselves of greed, lust, hate, discrimination, racism, and more, people will continue to steal, kill, and destroy others around them. You ever wonder what it'd be like to die in the presence of God and ask him, did this kid really do it? For any scenario, all the way back to true stories that were questionable outcomes on convictions for lack of evidence, you always wonder, did they really do it? Like Lizzie Borden. Everyone knows of Lizzie Borden, the hatchet or axe killer of her parents, but a lot of people don't think that she did it. So did she really do it? I don't know. No one knew if OJ really did it until he confessed several years after, knowing they couldn't try him again because that would have been double jeopardy. I have a feeling a lot of innocent men and women are in prison or dead from our own lack of knowledge in what really happened. And a lot of killers, rapists, and more run free and are never caught because of our lack of knowledge on subjects as well. It will blow your mind if you can get a hold of a list of facts from God and read through that paper and see who was accused of heinous crimes but did not do it, and who was never accused of heinous crimes that did do it. Let's hope the truth comes out on this one, be it in Brown's favor or the officers. However, some more breaking news on this topic recently occurred that, that kid lied about Brown being shot in the back. He was never shot in the back. So that kind of destroys his credibility as a whole. On top of that, he's wanted in other states for theft and obstruction of justice, lying to officers. So that hurts his credibility a lot. Should that be a piece of this case? Not necessarily, but it does say that he is willing to lie straight to an officer's face and to the public about things that happened in order to better himself or his friends around him. So I don't really know, man. It's a hectic scenario. Once again, though, by now, you guys obviously know that I was not perfect in my past, okay? I have an obstruction of justice charge. I was drunk one night, and I tried telling a cop that I was my brother. But I couldn't remember my brother's social security number because I knew I had a warrant for my arrest for an overwritten check like 7 years ago, and I hadn't been in the state since, or 6 years ago, and I hadn't been in the state since. When I got back, I said, oh, shit, like I said in my previous videos, I used to be a drunk dude, so I used to do a lot of stupid shit. So I'm not passing judgment on this guy at all. I'm just saying, in this scenario, it does hurt his credibility in the court of law. So then you have Tiffany Mitchell, I believe is her name. Tiffany Mitchell's testimony. Now, her, I do not know much about, but since I haven't heard about her, I'm assuming she has a clean record and is actually a very vital piece of this case as an eyewitness. However, still no recordings from anyone. Everyone just has recordings of after the scenario. Nobody has a recording of the actual scenario. This day and age where almost every heinous thing gets recorded by somebody, whether they want justice or fame from having the footage, people are recording everything like crazy. She claims she pulled out her phone but was startled when the shots were fired. Now, on one hand, she very well may be saying the truth. She may be telling you what's real. I will always direct you guys to my police brutality video, which there will be a link below, to show you just how much I adore cops as a whole. I'm not a fan, so don't think I'm taking sides here, please, trust me. But the fact still stands that there was nothing to cover her claim, nothing at all. The evidence piled up against Brown is much more evident than that of the evidence piled up against Wilson. That's just how it is, whether it's right or not. She claims that Brown was trying to get out of the car window, while Wilson was trying to pull him in the car window. However, Wilson also has injuries to his face, which could have been Brown defending himself, or it could have been Brown attacking Wilson. So now let's move on to the riots in St. Louis that were motivated by this. It started as a peaceful protest, as you all know. As any other scenario like this, people are outraged, especially the black community. At some point in time, out of the peaceful protesters, others showed up and began fighting, rioting, and looting the stores. Complete chaos ran the streets. Now, here's where a lot of people are wrong on the subject. The peaceful protesters were not the ones rioting and looting. These people came from their homes once they caught wind of what was going on and exploited the scenario. So no, the riot was not caused by Brown's support, but more so by douchebags and bitches who had nothing better to do with their day. And they used Brown's death as an excuse to riot and loot the streets in the city. Everything was just fucked up, pretty much. Craigslist was filled with items for sale, which you can guess where they got them. Even the phone stores were looted. All of their phones, which actually is kind of funny since you can't use them anyway. Most have to be activated, and if you stole a cheapy phone that you could use regardless of it being stolen, then I hope that $20 phone was worth it for the jail time after they sync up all the faces with the footage they have. I mean, people, they're just complete idiots, I swear. But let's stay on topic here. Was Brown's death justified? And take race out of this as a whole. Look at the facts. Brown was a big man, a very large, big man. His hits could easily daze a man of any size. So I don't think that it's impossible that the officer was protecting himself. Do I think that they should rely more on non-lethal force other than lethal force? Yes. Seems cops these days have forgotten what a taser and pepper spray is. Either way, I hope that if Wilson is at fault, that he gets what he deserves. And if, in Brown's case and to his family, I'm sorry that this happened to you. I really am. It is a tragedy as a whole, whether Brown was at fault or not. Okay, it's a bad deal. I'm sorry. I know you guys loved your family member and your friend. There's nothing that can be said to fix that. Alright? So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and close this up, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care and be safe.
These are the same individuals that were at Zisser.